Hello, I'm Pamela Davis. Welcome to episode 175 of the Well Done Life podcast. Hello, and welcome back to episode 175 of the Well Done Life podcast. I'm your host, Pamela Davis. If you're new here, hey, how are you? Welcome. I am so glad that you're here with me this week. If you've been here before, you guys know the deal. I love you deep. Thank you so much for your continued support. I wouldn't be at this point without you, and I'm just grateful that you're here. So before we get started with this week's episode, you guys probably know also that deal. I am like a broken record with how I like to set things up, but nothing's changed. New year, same way, and that's how we're going to do it. I like to make sure that I set the foundation because I really feel like in this space, we're creating a house, and it's very important that my house, the safe space, is built on two really strong foundationals. That is clarity and love. And clarity is really straightforward. I just want to make sure that you understand that I created the Well Done Life brand because I believe the women are the foundation of society. I really feel like we need more places and spaces where we can be our most authentic self. So in this space, I've shared my journey. I've spotlighted women who are doing amazing things in their lives, in their communities, because I want you to see that it's possible. I really do, because nobody's an expert at this thing called life. Like, I would love to sit up here and say that I've got it mastered, but y'all, it's just getting greater. It gets greater later is the best way that I can put it. And I feel blessed to be in a space where I can be my most authentic self and feel loved and seen and supported. And I hope I inspire you to do the same, because if you're not living for yourself, if you're not learning, if you're not sharing the experiences that you have, then what are you doing? Because you want to make sure that you are empowering someone to recognize that everybody goes through seasons, but that you can still win. Everybody can win together. I mean, we can laugh, we can share, we can cry, we can do all the things together, and we can really be better together versus working on our own. So that is why I created this space, and I hope you feel loved. I hope you feel supported. I hope you feel encouraged. I hope you grow, and I hope you share your journey, because that's what living the Well Done Life is all about. And so then that leads me to my second foundational thing, and it's one of my favorite foundations because, as a lot of you guys know, and I've said it before, I'm a sucker for love. I believe in love, and I love love. And so one of the things that I like to do to make sure that I am showing you love is I like to share prayers. I think it's really important when two or more people come together in agreement to pray. And so I believe that I am not the only person out here praying. And so I hope my prayers are magnified by you. So starting off this new year, I am definitely wanting to send you prayers of peace. I think it is super important, especially right now, because I don't know about y'all, but it feels like this first week went by in like 48 hours. Like, it is amazing how fast this first week of the year has gone by. And I just really feel like it is going to be uber important, super critical that we prioritize peace. And I know, again, like I said, we're just a few days in, but you don't want to wait until you're like 30 days in to decide that you need some peace. No, you need to be able to identify in yourself right now that you might need to take a pocket of peace. You may need to sit down for a moment in stillness, because like I've talked to you guys previously about stillness, it is very important just to sometimes get still, just to sit in the moment, sit in your feelings, sit in your thoughts, sit in the environment that you're in, so that you can have some peace. And even if it's not in the environment that you are in, because I know that everything is peaceful in everybody's environment, I hope that you're able to seek out spaces that make you feel good. I do. Sometimes I have to admit, I get my energy recharged by being by water. Obviously, Pisces over here, but that is a recharge place for me. Or sometimes in museums, like I've talked to you guys before, I love art, and I can get lost in a museum for hours because it gives me an opportunity to recharge. It gives me an opportunity to recalibrate and reconnect with my creative side. And then at the same time, I found peace from sitting in a chair for hours, just sitting there, literally just getting up to get something to eat and sitting my butt back in that space. So ultimately, what I'm telling you is, it doesn't matter what it looks like, how much it costs. I hope that you are giving yourself the space to find peace, that you are doing what you need to do to grab a moment of stillness, because in stillness, there is clarity. In stillness, there is peace. In stillness, there's regulation, because you want to regulate your mind and your body. Health is wealth, and it's not just physical health, it's mental health as well. So find the peace that speaks to you. And normally when you need peace, it will speak to you. And so I hope you claim it. I hope you grab it because you deserve it. And I think it's going to be essential as we go out here and do all the things in 2024. And so along that line, I am also going to be sending you prayers of physical health. I know that it is that time of year where we see all the new year, new me, all of these things, promoting that we are out here living our best selves, that we take care of ourselves. And I think that's a good thing because health is essential. And we've talked about that as well, because when you're not as physically healthy, your mental health is going to be impacted. And when you're not mentally healthy, then your financial health can be impacted. And then you're not able to build community because you're stuck in your head. It's like all of those things are so intrinsically connected. And so I think it's just important to make sure that you start to take habits to address yourself physically. I mean, I'm not here to call anybody out. I have told you all numerous times about my health journey, and my health journey was definitely not easy. I have literally been through many different seasons, and some season I haven't even really talked about with you guys yet, but I have seen a lot of different varieties in health. Let's just say that. And at the ripe, beautiful age of 50, almost 51, I know one thing: I prioritize trying to be healthy. Now, don't get me wrong. I like junk food just like the next person. So let me not act like, it's perfect. I had custard in December. I make time. I make space for little treats. I like a good piece of chocolate here and there to make me feel good, because I'm not going to lie, I'm a recovering emotional eater. And when the stress gets high, I want to pick up a piece of chocolate really quick to sometimes help satiate that desire to, need something to make me feel good. But I also do remember to make sure that I balance that, and that I remember that the things that I put in my mouth don't just make me satisfied in that moment, but they impact my body long term. They have significant repercussions. And so I've just taken a more conscious approach, a more mindful approach to what I put in my body. And of course, I love to work out now. I have that Peloton that I told y'all about. That's my baby. That's one of my boos. That's one of the loves that I have. I like to get on that thing 5-6 times a week and keep pushing myself. It has definitely worked wonders for my health and for my weight and all of those things. And don't get me wrong, I still feel I'm sexy even without worrying about trying to be stick thin. That's not my thing. And I'm not shaming anyone, because all bodies are beautiful. It's really not about that. It's about health, and find your thing that makes you feel good. So like I said, I am prioritizing that. But one thing I want to say, with all the messages and everything that's going on and all the pressures going into this first start of the year, the new you, new health, all those things, bite the elephant at one time. Don't go out here and try to do all the things in one time. Just bite the elephant at one time, and one bite at a time. You'll eat the elephant. So if you have a specific weight loss goal, bite that, attack that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pounds at a time, whatever that looks like. Don't set some weird astronomical number that's going to make you feel like you're a slave to the diet, because diets don't really work to me. I think it's about adapting your mindset and trying a new lifestyle versus just a fad. But I don't care. Take a more holistic, comprehensive approach to your health versus trying to trace a trend. Your health is wealth. So attack the elephant one bite at a time, and just prioritize you. Take a step. That's really the best way, because you got to get started in order to succeed. If you are sitting there contemplating it, if you're not making a move, then you're not doing anything to address the issue. And so take a move. And when you take that move, be complimentary to yourself. Be impeccable to yourself about your journey, because it's not going to be easy. I would love to say it is, but it's not. And you just are going to get discouraged. But just remember, you are doing your absolute best. Even if your best means that 1 or 2 days a week, you might skip that workout because this week you weren't feeling your best. Or maybe you have to reprioritize that workout. Maybe instead of going so hard, you need to do something a little bit softer. Just remember, all things add up, but take a step and commit to you. So obviously this year, like I said, I'm sending you mental health prayers. I'm sending you physical health prayers. I'm also sending you prayers of spiritual health. Again, I've talked about how this quadrants that I'm building my prayers around really are very impactful for me right now, because I really do feel that they are the keys, the unlock to moving to our next level. So when I think about spiritual health, I just think it's very important to be able to find a way for you to be encouraged in your spirit. Now, I know not everybody goes to church. I'm not much of a church person, but I have been previously. It just depended upon the season that I was in with my faith. But one thing that has remained unshakable is my belief in God. And so I hope for you that you find your faith. What makes you unshakable? Where do you go? What is your source? And I'm not judging, because that's not my thing to do, about who your source is. I'm pretty clear about mine. I believe in Jesus. I think he died on the cross, rose on the third day. That's how I get down. But at the same time, I do understand that there are many different iterations of how people recognize God. And so I respect everyone's iteration, but I want you to have a faith plan. I want you to have a spiritual work. You need to have guidance in this time, because if you think about the things that we are seeing in this world, if you are thinking about the pressures that we are all facing every day, it is a lot on the spirit. And so it is very important that we give ourselves time to commune with the Creator, to give ourselves time to speak life into ourselves through God. Because when we go to God in prayer, God sends that prayer back into us. It redeems us. It talks to us in our soul and our spirit. It guides us as we are out here doing all the things. Find your path. Find your plan, find your prayer, find your intention, but find something that speaks to your soul spiritually, because you need that extra hedge of protection, that extra strength to go out here every day and face the world, because life is going to life, but you still have to realize that you are equipped to have a beautiful life, even in the midst of the chaos that surrounds you. And then my final prayer, this year, I'm doing something different. I'm always praying abundance for you. So we're just going to go ahead and just say in advance that I am believing that you are going to be prosperous in your finances and in your spirit, because that is also very important to me as well. You want to be spiritually abundant. You want to create memories. Don't chase the dollar. Remember, you don't work for money. Money works for you. But I want to kind of lift up the thought of building community in prayer, because I think many of us as women have operated in this cycle of thinking that we can go out here and do it alone. And let me tell you something, you cannot do it alone. Or let me rephrase that. You can do it alone. You can. You're going to get somewhere. You're going to do some wonderful things. But can I tell you, by having community, you will do so much more. And we're going to talk about that more over the course of this year, because like I said, it's really sitting in my spirit. And especially I think about it here with the podcast and how I've been able to build community with you guys and through social media. It is super important, because the relationships that I have built have been life-changing. And I wouldn't have done that without y'all. I'm not going to sit up and pretend, because I was definitely at one point in time in the clique of no new friends and trying to limit my perspective because I was scared of getting hurt. Because let's really call it a buck. That's really what it is. A lot of times when many of us are in the no new friends cycle of life, it's because we've been hurt before and we've been disappointed before. And so we block people from coming into our circle. We make it very difficult for ourselves to connect with other people because we just don't want to be that invested. And it may not even be that deep. Some people just don't have the energy or bandwidth to invest in new people. And if that's the season that you're in, you have to honor it. But if you're not in that season, then the one thing I'm going to advise you to do is don't block your blessing. Don't block your blessing. You'd be very surprised the people that you can meet through social media, through other interactions, in person, whatever. You can wind up building friendships that will last a lifetime. You can wind up building businesses that will generate revenue. You can end up reaching connections that can just help you be able to bring a dream to life. So I'm just saying all this to say, just don't be limiting in regards to how you build community. start to open up, start to deal with what is inside of you that is preventing you from being able to build community. Because ultimately, that is really where it stems from. There's some hurt, there's some shadow work, there's some childhood trauma or adult trauma that you have gone through that is blocking you from being able to be open. Deal with that, because you can't continue to grow and elevate if you stay around the same circle all the time. Now, don't get me wrong. There are groups of friends that do grow and elevate together. Let me put my hand up to God, how grateful I am that I have a group of people around me that are committed to growth, and we grow together. We do. It's a beautiful thing. And I know that a lot of you have that same thing, which is awesome. But there are some folks, you know darn well the circle that you're in is not going to be the circle that's going to take you to your next level. And you may wind up having to spend a season by yourself. You may have to spend a season where you're out here trying to build relationships. I want you to start to think about, what do you need to address within yourself to shift the energy and shift your perspective on being able to build relationships? Because building community, like I said, is essential to the soul. And I'm sending you prayers that you can start to heal that side of you so that you can build it. Because many of you who are going to go out here and build community that is going to change lives. You're going to build community that is going to cultivate businesses. You're going to build community that is going to cultivate friendships that are last a lifetime. You're going to create community that is going to take you on places, take you on trips around the world. I mean, there's just so many different things that can happen through the power of community. And it is very important that we learn to connect with each other, because let's keep it real, we're all we got. And even though we all like to act like we're siloed, we all like to act like we're different, we're not all that different when you come down to it. When you sit down and have a conversation with somebody, you'd be very surprised to learn how similar you really are. But you would never have known that if you had not been open, if you were not open to building community. So I'm going to challenge you guys a lot about that. We're going to talk more about it as the year goes on, because those pillars that I discussed today in regards to like mental health, physical health, spiritual health, and building community, they're essential, I feel, to our next level, but they are also kind of going to be the themes, I think, of 2024, and kind of teeing it up, moving forward into our first episode of 2024. When I left you guys in December, I did mention that I will be having my first live event in April. It's actually going to be on April the 20th, and it's called The Reset. And The Reset is an event where I am going to have hopefully a space with 100 women where we're going to come in here. They're going to be speakers, and we are going to commit to developing goals that are going to help us reset in that area. So I was very intentional about April, because April is after first quarter. And typically when we're going into the new year, we're all going into it with all our goals and expectations set out. And we are just out here trying to get all the things done. But we don't really start to shift sometimes until halfway in the year, if we think about it. A lot of times we don't start to look at those really goals and see how we're doing at that until we get to June, the 6th month of the year. But I feel like, that might be a little too late. And also it's a lot of pressure, because if you think about it, you're trying to look at 6 months of how you've done, 6 months of accountability. And that does not give you a lot of time if you feel like you may have veered off course to shift and do something differently in 6 months, because that's all you have left at the end of the year. So for me, I feel like a lot of times we probably need to be looking at our goals a little bit closer as we get into like April, because after the first quarter has ended and we're in the second quarter, we need to be thinking about, okay, is this really aligning for me? And if not, why shouldn't I be pivoting? If I'm going to pivot, or should I not pivot and just keep going? I mean, let's take a chance on that, because if you commit to yourself, there is nothing that you can't accomplish. So I want the reset to be that check-in point that many of you need to help you stay realigned, to help myself stay realigned. I'm going to look at my goals with you. And so we'll talk more about the reset shortly. I'm just kind of wrapping up some things before I put the ticket site up and let you guys have at it. And I look forward to connecting with you. I promise it's going to be an amazing day where we'll have speakers. We're going to have food, because I love a good meal and a beautiful environment. I mean, we're going to cultivate the space for peace, tranquility, and accountability goals setting, because I am committed. I promise you, anyone who goes to this event, you will have the skills to walk out of that building at the end of the day saying, I have a plan on how I plan on committing to myself over these next 60 days, because it doesn't take forever to change. It takes 30 days to create a habit, and it takes 60 for you to know that that thing stuck. And so we're going to take that commitment and create it together. So I'm very excited about the reset. I will definitely be talking more about it. But, that was really what I was working on, kind of like behind the scenes, actually during the Christmas holiday. Outside of that, really trying to decompress, because I don't know if all of you know, and I think I've probably told you all before, but I actually have a job. Yes, I work in corporate America full time, and it can be very taxing. And I had been working really hard, just trying to go through some transitions. And it's just been a really great, busy time at work. And so by December, the time that I took off, even though I kind of worked through the holiday a little bit, I was tired. I was tired, girl. I was tired. I needed a break. And so I just kind of, where I could sit down, I took moments to sit down. Where I could take chances and time to spa with my friends, I took time and chances and spa with my friends. I did what I needed to do. And now I feel good. I'm coming back refreshed. Don't get me wrong. I'm still stressed. God knows it is busy. Like I said, this few days of 2024 has come in like gangbusters. I feel like I worked a month and I only worked 3 days, but I'm really glad to be here. I feel good in this space, and I hope you can hear it in my voice. And I hope you know that I am ready for what this new year is going to bring. And so, kind of going into this week's episode, I really was thinking over the course of this first few days of the year, as I'm really putting my plans and my goals in place. And I shared my goals with you guys in my last episode, and how I worked it out in that quadrant of mental health, physical health, spiritual health, and building community. I really recognized something in myself that I kind of think I thought I had overcome, but I realized that I hadn't overcome. And not to make it sound ominous or anything like that, but I really have been working on my ability to just go out here and be bold about myself. I went through my renaissance this previous year. I turned 50 and I'm about to turn 51. And last year, my word of the year was renaissance and surrender. And when I was in that season of rebirth and changing and becoming more of my dynamic self and doing all the things, I felt empowered and I felt really strong. And I knew I was flying close to the sun, and I felt good about it, even though at times I was petrified. And I still get petrified because I'm flying close to the sun, y'all. I'd be scared. But I made that commitment that if I fly close to the sun and I get burned, it's okay, because I know God loves me and God has really good sunburn medication, and God is going to make sure that I'm going to be okay and covered and healed and redeemed in Him. But I kind of tapped into an area that I need to work on. And like I said, I thought I had healed from it, but I haven't. And that is the limits that I place on myself. And when I talk about the limits that I place on myself, just to kind of give full context about how I've been discovered it, is with the event, I've been like trying to plan and do different things. And it really is stretching me. And it's stretching me in a good way, because it's forcing me to not play small. And that means I am going for what I want. I'm going for who I want. And when I say that, I am definitely kind of giving hints about speakers. And so, yeah, I'm punching for the stars. Y'all have no idea. And so it has just been a moment of clarity in doing that, because if I think about it, I felt like I kind of dragged my feet a little bit. Just because I started to have that fear, like, these people aren't going to come to me. They're not going to respond to me, because who am I? That imposter syndrome starts to sneak back in. Like, am I sure about this? Am I really equipped? Even though I know I can handle it, I know that this is my season. I know God gave me this vision for a reason, because He knew I was ready for it. But of course, you have to start to have those doubts. You have to start to have those fears, because life starts to life. Work got super busy, and I was like, I'm not devoting as much time to this as I need to. I just started to get distracted and trying to manage everything. And I started to have anxiety. Full disclosure, I started to have anxiety. Like, I even felt at one point like I had an anxiety attack. Like, my heart just started beating. And when I was taking some stuff to like my storage unit for the event, and broke a nail, and I just was bleeding, and I was just stressed out, and I was just like, I can't do all this by myself. And in that moment, I did realize that I need to fire myself. I truly do. And I've been saying that for a long time. I just need to generate some enough revenue so that I can hire somebody to fire me. That's really what that is. Like, because I'm for all the entrepreneurs who are out there, all the people who are thinking about becoming that, that's really what a lot of that is. Let's just be real in the streets. Like, you wind up seeing a lot of one-man operations because there's just not enough money coming in at this point to do it. And we're scared to take the chance, scared to stretch ourselves too far by taking on extra help. So that in turn creates anxiety. And then that's what I was feeling. I was feeling anxious. Girl was stressed out. But in that, it just reminded me of, why am I putting limits on what I can do? And so I had to like sit down and really start to think about, is how am I going to address the limits that I'm placing on me? It's like I've talked about, speaking to my fears, and I speak to my fear. I do. And I've told y'all numerous times, I can't help but stress this book enough. Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert is an excellent book for anyone who's a creative or anyone who has an intention or vision for putting something out into the universe that you want to accomplish, because it really does break down and help speak to the creative on how you can make that happen and move forward, and the things that you're going to face. And one of the biggest things that you're going to face in regards to it is fear. And so I feel like I've learned how to do that. But even with learning how to speak to my fear, that still doesn't address the limits that I was placing on me. And it's funny because I always used to remember that my dad, when he was alive, he would tell me, he was like, Pamela, there's nothing that you can't do. If you set your mind to something, you can do anything. You could be president. He used to tell me that way before Barack Obama was even a thought. And when I was young, I believed him. But when I got older and I started to see the trueness of the world and life, I have to admit my belief started to diminish. And it wasn't him, because I know he's my dad and he was always going to see the best in me. But, I started to be more focused on wanting to fit in with other people. I started to be more focused on wanting to just achieve. And I just wanted to make people proud of me. And let's be honest, some people are proud of you if you just get an A and a B and a C. They're not, people aren't naturally challenging us to be the best version of ourselves. And it doesn't mean that they're bad people. It just means people are only challenging you based upon their perceptions of how far they can go. And so a lot of times when we are dealing with people, if you think about it, and let me say that again, sometimes we all have to recognize that sometimes the people in our life are only challenging us based upon how far they think they can go. Because remember, a lot of times that most people are only dealing with you from the level of capacity that they have. So their emotions, their feelings, their thoughts are based upon their perception of self for them, because that's just a natural part of life. But you have to think about when you are in a season of trying to be limitless, when you're in a season of trying to, go to your next level, you have to think about, is that enough? Is that enough? And how maybe that self-talk that you've had where you can get straight A's, you can do this. Is that enough? Or do you need to take the limits off? And if you are placing limits on your life in certain levels, why are you placing them there? Because if you think about it, God made us limitless. Like we literally are abundant in God. And so it's like, why would I put limits on myself? The only reason that most people put a limit on themselves is because they're afraid of going further. And of course, there are certain things in your life that you want to maybe have boundaries. You want to have limits about, you don't want to be out here committing crimes and doing craziness. But in regards to pursuing our dreams, why are we putting limits on ourselves? I mean, really, why? And nobody can really give you a good answer as to what it is. And you know why? Because again, that's based upon something that is a perception of themselves in them that they're transferring onto you. And it's not that they're bad people. Again, like I said, and I keep stressing that again, it's not about them being bad. It's just about the fact that a lot of us have gone through things in our life or dealt with people in our life who could only see so far. And so they are giving you the best of them, because that's what they want for you. They want the best. If they've achieved it, they think that's the best, and that's enough. But where are those people in our lives that challenge us to think different? Because not everybody is going to be set up to be that one who can speak into you. Not everyone's going to be set up to be that person who can push you. But if you happen to have people in your life who can see past their limits and see the best in you and challenge you to be even better than what you thought you could be, you need to hold on tight to those people because they are few and far between. I'm very blessed. I am surrounded with a circle of people who challenge me to be better. But like I said, I'm 50. Took a long time to get here. And that's not like, the end of it all. I love being 50 and I'm very excited about being 51. I still feel like I have time. But like I've told you all a few years ago, I'm not playing about this next 10 years of my life. From 50 to 60 is not a game because I'm going to feel different at 60 probably than I feel at 50. So this is that time where if I want to go out here and shake the world on fire, if I want to make the businesses, I want to grow, I want to expand, I want to help people, I want to do all the things, I need to get in there right now because if not now, when? And so I'm very blessed to be around people in my life who challenge me to get better and challenge me to take the limits off. And so one of those things to be able to help cultivate that is we have to get real about what we are trying to accomplish, what we need from people, and if we are actually ready to receive what we need. And let me kind of break it down in this perspective, because like I said, for me, this is how I know I'm ready. I'm ready because I feel that pull within myself to stretch, and like doing the reset is a stretch for me. I'm shy, even though I'm sitting here telling y'all my business, but you have to think about it. I'm hidden behind a microphone. I might pop out on social media here and there to give you like a visual, but I'm behind the mic, but I'm ready to step from behind the mic. And my friends have been trying to challenge me to step from behind the mic for a while, but now I'm finally ready. It's settled in my spirit enough to do it, And so I decided I wanted to do that with the reset. And I wanted to the purpose of the reset is I love us as women. And I want to create something where as women, we come together and we heal and we grow and we impart in each other. Because unfortunately, there's a lot of us walking around every day who don't have that moment to just sit down with themselves, sit down in a community of like-minded women and build and grow and get better. So I'm going to create that space for that. And yes, I'm putting it in the atmosphere because I know it's something I'm going to do and I'm standing confident in it. But then I'm not going to lie. Every once in a while, I get a little nervous. I get a little unsure. I get a little shaky, and I'm tired of getting unsure and shaky. That's what I said this year. I was like, I woke up literally on 1/1/24. And I was like, I am tired of getting shaky. It's time for me to step into the fullness completely of who I am. And I have to step into the fact that I know that I am convicted to do this. And so I need to take the limits off. And one of the things that I had to do was like, get real about where I'm placing limits. And I'm placing limits in regards to what I can accomplish. So like, going out here and building my business, going out here and creating events, those are things that I love to do and I'm doing it. But there becomes a moment where it starts to get a little scary. When I actually see it starting to come to fruition, when I see all the things aligning, that's when it gets scary for me because it's real. And I know that probably sounds crazy, but maybe some of y'all can relate to me. Maybe you can understand, you put the vision, you write it down, you make it plain, you start to execute and you see things coming together and you're working at it. And then all of a sudden one day it's like, wow, this is really coming together. Like, oh my gosh, people start to reach out to you. You can see the growth. You can see it doing all those things. And I obviously truly happy, truly feeling blessed. But then at the same time, here goes the limiting thoughts like, oh, should I really be growing at this rate? Maybe I'm not ready. You start to second guess yourself. Do I have the money to be able to do what I need to do? Like I was talking to you guys before about firing myself, because I am going to fire myself. I am determined to fire myself. I just want to make sure that I have enough money to consistently fire myself, not just have to fire myself once a month. You know what I mean? I want to be in that position where I can do it consistently. And so I was like, I'm going to have to change my perspective about things. I need to get out here. I need to network. I need to build my community. I've been behind the mic long enough, and I'm going to stay behind this mic, but I also need to show my person. I need to give my energy out. And many of you are in that season where you've been hiding behind little things, and it's time for you to put your energy out. It's time for you to step out front. You got to have that bold spirit. You have to be unshakable. That is your time. And yes, you can have that unshakable feeling in your heart and know that it's the right thing to do. But Mr. Doubt, self-loathing, imposter syndrome, all of that can come right back in and shut it down. And you have to get to a point where you are tired of letting it shut it down. And y'all, I'm tired. And so I had the pleasure of going to have coffee with one of my friends, or actually tea. And she challenged me, and I told her how I was feeling. I was like, I'm feeling like I need to take the limits off. It's just time. Like I really do. And one of the things that I have decided to take the limits off of myself is I want to go back to counseling. I actually am going back to counseling. I made an appointment, and I'm really excited about it. And yeah, I'm sure you're probably wondering, like, well, why are you going to counseling? Like, I'm not emotionally sad at all. Like, if I were to rate myself on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm really sitting at 9. Like, I am surrounded in love. I am getting the things accomplished with with the event and with the podcast. I just feel so blessed and grateful. And that alone is enough reason for me to go back to therapy, because I don't want to wait until the bottom falls out. I don't want to wait until the stress overwhelms me. I don't want to wait until I have anxiety attack. I've decided that I'm going to be proactive in knowing the fact that I am placing limits on myself because of those things, and try to deal with why I'm doing it and how I can maybe develop techniques to help me. And I think a lot of times what I think it is possibly because previously when I was younger, I went through a season where I felt very awkward, and I still am an awkward girl, but I felt awkward. I wasn't as comfortable in myself, and I didn't allow me to really shine. And so I feel like I might need to do some work with that. And so one thing that I would encourage you is, if you're ready to take the limits off, to think about maybe it might be time to go back to therapy. Maybe, or go to therapy. I know people still have different perceptions around therapy, and I totally am a proponent of it. I have spent many years of it in it, and I kind of have gone back and forth depending upon what I need. But right now I am at that need point where it's like, yeah, I need to go back to therapy so that I can try to address what areas of myself still need to heal, so that I can take the limits off of myself. So I can step into the fullness of who I am. I can stop doubting what I bring to the table. And I want you to stop doubting what you bring to the table. You are the table. And so you have to make sure that the table is clear so that you can have plenty of room to bring people along and build. Because one thing that I have been saying to my friends as well, and I'm standing on business with it, I'm 100% serious about it, is I'm in that season of my life where I want to build and make money and help people with the people that I love. I really do. Like I'm so fortunate. I cannot say enough how blessed I am to have such an amazing circle of people in my life who are so intentional and who are so creative. And I'm just very excited because each of them has something special to impart in the world. And to be able to kind of feed that energy off of each other is a beautiful thing. And so I want to make sure that I stay, continuously pliable. I want to stay continuously growing and evolving. And I need to make sure that I always create space for me. So going to therapy is creating space for me to be able to deal with those sides of myself that might need a little bit of a tune-up. So I am encouraging you, hopefully, to create space for yourself where you can deal with those areas that might need a tune-up. Don't wait until they become problems. Be proactive with you. And being proactive with you is never a bad thing. It's not. It's not, it's a great thing because we're proactive with everybody else. When we can see problems going and coming, we are trying to do everything in our power. We're like Super Sister Save-A-Ho with a cape out here trying to fix other people's stuff. We need to be that with ourselves. And that's why it is very important that we get to that point where we start to get real honest and clear about what we want to accomplish and recognize if there are areas within ourselves that we are the block. And like I said, I'm the block. So I need to deal with myself as that block. I need to get super intentional and clear about what is going on and fix it. And so I have decided that therapy is how I'm going to fix it. And that's going to be also something that I discuss, as things progress as a part of my journey. But I wanted to be clear. Yeah. In the first couple of days of the year, I have decided that I'm going back to therapy. And I'm really happy about it. And it was something I had planned anyway, on my goals for this year, but I want to follow through. I really want to follow through. So I encourage you to follow through as well. And I encourage you to maybe do a little self-examination of any area of yourself where you feel like, you know what, I might be limiting myself. Or, some area where you need to work a little bit harder in, what is it? Because limits look like many different things. For me, it's not about working hard enough. I need to work smarter and I need to stop shortchanging me. So I am going to do what I need to do in order to do that. I want you to do what you need to do in order to do that as well, because this is truly our season and time. And I am truly believing that this is a time of being unshakable about us. We have to have unshakable faith. We need to really believe in ourselves. We need to believe in the higher power. We need to believe, because this is the time where we're really taking the limits off and going out here and being audacious about what we want. We have to stop playing small. And I'm not playing small no more. I'm going for everything. I want you to go for everything as well, because you deserve it. You deserve it. And you've been shortchanging yourself long enough. So it's time to stop. And then on top of that, being unshakable and audacious, it's a time of expansion. This is a time of growth. Like I told you, I really want to make sure that I take my time and build with the people that I love. So I have to make sure that I am open, I am ready, I am pliable, and I am available to do that. I want you to be open, pliable, and available to build with the people that you love as well. So that is this week's podcast about limiting limits. And I will definitely be sharing my journey as I go. I am so excited as we kind of dive in to talk more about the reset, we're going to have amazing guests coming up. I have some really good guests that you guys will be introduced shortly, but this is that season. This is the season where our content is going to be focused around, like I said, mental health, physical health, spiritual health, and building community. Because again, all of these things play together in regards to unlocking our next levels. And it's time for us all to win. So I'm ready to win with you. Come win with me. Let's do it together. So I want to thank you guys for listening this week. I hope that you will have an amazing Sunday. It's the first Sunday in 2024. And so, right, it is. I had to check, child. I know. Like, Lord, I'm sitting here acting like, yes, it is the first Sunday. I called it right. So proud. Those are special times. And so I hope that you are resting. I hope that you are dialing into what you need, being nourishing and caring to your soul. I will be back next week with a brand new episode. I'm fired up. I'm ready to go. And please hit me in the show notes or, on social media and through email with any questions, any feedback, any thoughts. I want to hear from you. I want to support you. I want to spotlight you. So if you're interested in being on the show, reach out to me. I know my schedule is a little bit weird and sometimes it's a little hard to get in touch with me, but I promise I will follow back up with you. Because again, it's all about all of us winning. So I really look forward to coming back next week with a new episode and talking to you guys again soon. Take care of yourselves and each other, and we'll talk next week. Bye-bye.